We've covered Sombra a lot recently because she is so darn good. Today's video is going to go even deeper into some areas that I've noticed a lot of Sombra players struggle with and limit the amount of output they get on a match, often leading to a false perception that Sombra's weak right now, which couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, I'd go to say that there's only a few heroes in the entire game that I would say are strong against Sombra right now if the player knows how to adapt to each situation, and as long as there's no major flaws with the teamwork with the team. I guess that's a big asterisk right there, but hopefully with today's video, we can help rectify some of these problems and get our individual and team play around Sombra a lot better. The major skill set that we're going to go over today for the individual player is movement, which is something that I don't think gets enough attention overall in Overwatch, but a lot of the heroes' skill sets are mostly movement, and I think Sombra fits in that category. In fact, I'd go as far to call her the DPS version of Winston, because a lot of where her flair comes from is mid-air movement with her ability to jump or translocate into the sky, repositioning through the fight to safety, getting the most out of her limited damage source. Check, 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 check. And this is a good thing if you're a player like me who doesn't have the best mechanics in the world, because if you apply the same type of game sense that you can apply to a character like Winston, you can get a lot of value out of Sombra. And although I'm sure all of us can improve on our aiming ability, I would say moving well through the map and to set yourself up is about 3/4 of your value. I'll give a few major tips of ways that you can improve this, and then we'll break down some specific examples of me utilizing some of this tech. First things first, stop using Translocator only as a retreat back to safety tool. Yeah, you can put on a health pack, go harass, and then run back, but I would say that playstyle was overrated even way back when she got ult charge from health packs. Using Translocator to play too safe puts you out of the battle way too much, and you're not going to be developing your mid-fight movement abilities to really stretch the amount of time that you're a threat within the battle. You don't want to be retreating if you can help it. You want to be constantly shooting, but also avoiding damage, which requires you to play closer to the action and use Translocator more for repositioning than just straight up ducking and running and leaving a fight altogether. The first major tip to improve your ability to do this is by looking down as you throw your Translocator up into the sky. Why? Because especially if you're above your opponent, you don't want to have to take the time to reacquire all of the targets to get a sense of your bearings. If you're already looking down, once you hit that Translocate button to teleport into the sky, you'll have a bird's eye view of the battlefield, and then you can use that second or so to adjust your floating mid-air, similar to how a Winston does when he's leaping, in order to get wherever you want to go, be it land yourself on a high ground or even reposition for a more perfect EMP that's going to hit more targets. The more comfortable you get with this, the more easily you can fling yourself to go take duels even in high ground positions, jumping onto a Widowmaker perch really quickly with your aim already ready, or right into the sky to hack a Pharah out of the air before you even hit the ground. That's a playstyle that's really going to annoy her. And of course, while you're flying through the air, you're a harder target to hit, meaning that you probably can get off a hack mid-air from your high altitude, providing an angle for you to bypass shields, or even use the time to get some damage in while you fly through the sky. But I would say the most important use of this tool is being able to line up your EMPs the best you can. And even just tilting your camera down ever so slightly will help you locate where all of the enemy are set up and then try to navigate to the heart of the team fight so you can hit as many as possible. The other big tip is, remember, when you EMP, Sombra does a cute little jump, so you can use that to get a bit of a burst of momentum when mid-air, either to fling yourself towards safety or as a little extra hop to get onto the high ground. And because of this, you often can wait longer to pop EMP than I see a lot of players do. Really take your time to float and find the best possible EMP you can gather, and don't panic it out because you're afraid of getting shot. If you're getting shot, it probably means that your placement of where you are going isn't outside of the enemy's line of sight good enough, or they just hit an insane shot on you, which sometimes you just can't stop anyway. And to that point, if you feel yourself struggling to implement this and you're getting killed a lot in the action, the next thing to keep in mind is looking at the line of sight of your opposition. Again, all of this is camera control and taking stock of the battlefield, but look to see where they're facing and always be trying to push outside of their line of sight to a position that's going to be hard for them to go track you down. And at any time you notice that the enemy is turning to target you, run away immediately. You're not a character that can stand their ground at all, so you have to be learning these mid-fight reposition movement techniques to both stay in the fight so you actually can deal damage and get hack impact, but also not die. Now, this next section, I'm going to show you some clips and in-game audio of me playing with some friends, working on our Sombra EMP teamwork, which is also the other major area I see players falter with Sombra. Of course, she is easier played in a pre-made where your callouts will actually get listened to, but as well, doing it in ranked solo queue is important to get any value out of the character as well, because the entire team being disabled doesn't do anything unless your team are around to help finish off the kills. Now, the major skill set that we were working on here is something that we were trying to improve on, and I think finally did, is throwing ults aggressively at the enemy, especially like a diva bomb, and using EMP to follow up afterward. And you'll see us do this combo a few times in this game, and here's the first one. You can throw the bomb at them ignorantly, kind of just like right at the tanks. I'll EMP it.
I have shatter.
Can shatter EMP bomb
I might
win the fight, I guess?
I think I have to do the tanks, but we'll have to look alive for the Doom Fist. Violet, I think you have to counter their Doom like straight up. Like don't do anything but the Doom. Can we go main? I think we can just pressure point. It'll be easier, I think.
Yeah, let's do it.
Lana's in the back.
Right. Yeah.
Ready?
Go Doom attack.
Doom.
Good.
How many times have you been pushing into Hanamura, either on A or B, and you just get raffle stomped every single time you poke your head out? Well, it's cool ult combinations like this that breaks that entire playstyle. It's another reason why 2CP probably shouldn't be in the solo queue playlist, but we'll leave that to another time. Turns out Overwatch is played much better with a team. Who knew? Here's an upcoming clip where we execute this again. And remember, I'm sure you could get this to work in solo queue as well, as long as you tell your diva player, or McCree using High Noon, whoever, anyone that has a zoning ult, to just use their ult aggressively early in the fight and use EMP to delete the shields right at the last moment. Sometimes you can get some pretty close calls, but as long as your Sombra player is ready and communicating, you can land these combos. Just watch how close my translocator cooldown was to missing out on this combo. I'll point EMP in a sec. I'm gonna get the Pharah in a second.
Good.
Nice combo.
I just barely made it in time. Now, this next clip, we've been counter-engaging into this enemy team over and over again, drained most of their clock. They only got a tick, but have a ton of ultimates in their pocket. Timing Sombra aggro is the key. This is how we deal with this situation. Hanzo's there low. I can't get him though, I can't get him.
That's for sure.
Yeah. I hope they grab on point so I can just drop down to point and use. They're top left again.
Yeah.
They have drag strike, I think. I think I might just EMP them. Go stairs now. Go stairs now. Go stairs now. This is probably my favorite clip in this entire video because I think it shows off everything that we've been discussing so far. Those huge ult combos that the enemy need in order to get a win on 2CP can't even get used if you play around an aggressive EMP like this. Of course, notice a few things we do in this clip. I try to berate my team to press W with me so that they're around to deal damage right as the entire enemy team gets disabled, but also notice how I wait a bit for the translocator to float in quite deep into the enemy team because I just want to pop out immediately and EMP, whereas if I press the button a bit earlier, they might actually get a line of sight on me and who knows, I might get insta-killed, whatever. I'm timing my translocate in to be at the peak of the arc, so when I teleport in and jump with the EMP, I'm sort of up and away out of their line of sight as much as possible, right? You can't always be purely safe when you do this, but it's hard to see this translocator coming and you're invis when doing so, so I think it's a pretty safe bet a lot of the time. And then of course, sort of a side point tip about 2CP, when the enemy has a lot of ultimates and you don't, we used a bunch in that fight, you want to go aggressive in order to try to trade some kills out. So again, they don't have the opportunity to set up a clean ultimate engage, and that's what we do here. We hack the Valk, our pharmacy even dives out with me, and yes, they run to point, but isn't it nice when we're able to utilize basics of the game that we've been teaching on this channel for years to this point, but nobody listens to in ranked? Nobody cares about the objective. The objective doesn't matter. All that matters is winning the frag battle and not getting ulted. So they get about a tick and a half, but half their team's dead by the time they're even starting to do that. No big combo for them, easy win. And a little bit of a side point, I've been having a ton of fun six stacking. It does take a whole lot of extra work and hoops to jump through and long queue times so you don't get nearly as many games in, but all of that aside, I've got a seriously good group of teammates at a variety of roles, and we play a few times a week. If you're a player who's peaked around 4.1 to 4.2, that's where I've been in solo queue, there's still a bit of room in our group to see some people rotate in. So if you want to join, send us a Twitter DM with a picture of your career profile. We do have players from both NA and EU, so hit us up if you want to join. It's been a huge success so far, and I'm really glad I decided to do that. And now, closing out the video, I just want to mention a few things that you want to look out for when playing Sombra. I said at the start of the video that I think she has good matchups against basically everything. The few things that I would worry going up against are the big ranged burst damage characters, because anything that plays in the backline, you kind of don't want to go after as Sombra. Sombra looks the scariest when she's disabling tanks and aggressive DPS like Doomfist or any flanker, because they have to go into close range to see effectiveness, and hacking away their escapes is a really big deal, whereas getting a hack in the enemy's backline where the rest of them are only really works if your entire team is diving, and going full dive is kind of difficult right now. So for the most part, you want to stay away from backline characters. Now, of course, you can isolate a Hanzo or a Widowmaker on their own, but if they have any support or a Mercy Pocket, you're not really going to have the damage to have any impact in that kind of fight, at least not with some help. So especially on maps where double sniper is good, I would say have some restraint using Sombra, because in that matchup, you either need more of a straight up confrontational duelist like Genji, or just your own snipers or full dive, one of the three. Because of course, if a Widowmaker or a Hanzo is in good positioning, they kind of don't care about being hacked. If they still hit a skill shot anyway, the Sombra pick doesn't look nearly as good. And as well, honorable mentions to McCree and the new Torbjorn. They're able to pop their stun or overload before you even get a hack off on them anyway, and even if you do, it's a skill matchup and their weapons are a bit better at that point. Not to mention, if you have to go off and kill a turret to have any impact, that's kind of what Torb wants you to do, because while you do that, he's blasting your tanks. And as well, Reaper, for all the reasons we've already stated, same thing as the snipers, but he's able actually to go in and fight at close range. He's probably the most underrated character against Sombra, but it does require you to have even better positioning still, because Reaper is just an exploitable character, regardless of the fact that he is strong in the matchup specifically against her. But up against just about everything else I can think of, Sombra has a pretty strong matchup, whether it be flankers, multi-tank comps. She looks a bit weaker against the dive tanks if they know what they're doing. A good diva that actually knows you're her biggest priority can also really deter your plans as well. But I'll be honest, I very rarely play against a player like that, but that is how the pros tend to deal with Sombra, so that might be something that evolves over time with this new Sombra playstyle being more mainstream, and as people get more comfortable with countering it. Guys, that's gonna be everything for today's video. I hope you did enjoy and found it useful. If you did, please be sure to leave the video a like. It really does help us out and let us know that you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, because we do upload each and every day, so you're gonna wanna hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.